Hello and welcome back for episode 2 of Vagris, the Riven Realms. We're starting exactly where we left off. Actually, in fact, I closed the game because I had other things to take care of, and I realized that you can't save the game when you're playing the tutorial. So, I'm in it for the long haul. I went back and I played through the tutorial, and I actually had to play through the tutorial like 3 or 4 times to redo the role where you try to convince Narbo to take your deal, and I kept succeeding. I wanted to fail the role because that's what I had done in episode 1, so I actually had to go back a couple times and redo that roll until I actually failed. He tried to give me like a package when I passed the roll, so I guess that's an alternate universe we'll never see on YouTube anyway. But now we're back to where we were. We failed the task, so he's gonna take a quarter of our profit like we agreed on before, and yeah, we're gonna pick up there. We've been tasked with getting supplies and buying as much scrap as we possibly can. We also have these 2 stories here. We have Stroll Scrounger's Lane. There's always something to be had there. And then we have Walk Up to the Tower. Perhaps it's time to visit the Heap King. I'm very curious about these 2. I know we said our characters said when they first came into Scrap Heap that we didn't have a lot of time, but I can't resist trying the stories. So we're gonna check out Stroll Scrounger's Lane here. Here we go. You and Javik roam the dingy market called Scrounger's Lane at the foot of the Great Heap. Well, we're not going to go to the market right now. Sorry, tutorial. At the foot of the Great Heap upon which the Tower of the Heap King is built, ash-covered awnings and dirty stalls line the labyrinthine streets with stiflingly narrow alleys and tiny squares adding to the general confusion. Sometimes it's difficult to tell a shop from a dilapidated home, and for a good reason. Most people who live here are also merchants to some extent. And even though the Heap King's militia is there to keep the peace, you can't help but notice all the shifty gazes from the deplorable types aimed at you. We have Scrap Heap's market value cannot exceed the requirement. Take a look at prices and goods. When looking for the hidden shop value cannot exceed the requirement. Oh boy. You recall a little shop hidden in an alley. Its owner used to peddle dwarven curiosities. Perhaps it is still there. I like the high chance of success. And then we could leave market. You do not really have the coin to buy anything anyway. There is that. We are supposed to be spending all of our money on scrap. But I'm very curious about the dwarven shop. So let's try it. We did succeed 5 to 7. The small shop is still there at the end of a serpentine alley on the south side of the market district. Standing outside of it, you notice how it is in worse shape than you remember. Inside the decrepit scrap shack is an equally unkempt young fellow who hails you with a jolly smile. The shop looks empty. A short conversation reveals that the youngster is the son of the man who used to run this place. His father never came back from a forage into the dwarven ruins a few months ago. Unfortunately, I don't have Dad's expertise on dwarves. Neither am I the adventurous sort, so now I've sold all his remaining stock and I'm closing shop soon. Then I'm off and away from Crap Heap for good. Haha, clever. Go south, maybe to them Dragonlands, he says, scratching his beard. You talk a bit about dwarven culture and his father's obsession with their forgotten technological wonders. You are about to say goodbye when he slaps his forehead. I still have something here that a Vagrist such as yourself might be interested in. He fishes a small brass compass out of his pocket and hands it to you. It is a masterwork, no doubt, sporting runes and detailed etchings on the sides. This fellow is willing to sell it to you for a token price. We could buy the compass for 1 silver, 8 bronze, and 9 gold. Oh boy. So the silver is the most expensive coin we have. The bros... Oh, that's the silver. The middle one is Lirg. There's bronze looking, and then the gold looking one is changers. So it's like dollars, quarters, cents. I don't know what I'm talking about. Dwarven Compass. Active effects is +1 max movement. That could be nice. And then +1 navigation. I think I've got to go with it, right? I mean, we don't have a ton of money to spend, but something like that seems like too good to pass up. So, we bought the Dwarven Compass, so now we can move further, which is kind of cool. Let's leave the market. And then let's walk up to the tower and maybe visit the Heap King. Walking up the Great Heap to the immense tower is a daunting task. Up on the hill, it is even more difficult to breathe than in the Ashchoke city at its feet. A hot wind blows from the south. Every step is slow torture. By the time you reach the gates of the tower, your chest is heaving and you keep coughing up soot. This was a bad idea. Before you rises the Tower of the Heap King, ruler of this trash pile of a town. The whole structure is cobbled together from scrap, with lower levels covered in metal sheets. A huge bonfire of yellow-white flames burns at its topmost level day and night, a beacon for the scavenging teams to follow home. Looking nigh impregnable, the fortress has only one entrance. A small group of guards sneers malevolently at you as you approach. Better turn back if you have no business here, vagabond, the ranking gatekeeper says from under a mask attached to his bronze skullcap. Well, I don't have an invitation to the tower. I have nothing to say that would gain entry. A long walk down the hill awaits. Or I could ask them where I could acquire an invitation. We took the time to walk up here. Perhaps you could try licking my arsehole and see where it gets you, one of the guards says loud enough for you to hear. A round of applause and guffaws follows. They got me. The ranking guard does not laugh, but does nothing to reprimand his men either. My duty is to stop anyone without official business to enter, not to educate them where to get a pass, he says, and walks back to the others. Well, down we go. That was kind of a waste of time, but that's okay. They didn't beat me up either. Let's go to the market. Alright. The market pane displays the available goods you can buy at the settlement's market on the right, and opens your cargo pane on the left. You can buy goods from the market or sell your own goods from your cargo hold here. The maximum cargo space is 600 or 30 slots. It cannot be expanded further. We have 250 units of supplies per stack. Okay, and 200 there. When buying or selling, you can buy or sell one increment only by clicking on the buy or sell button next to the listed goods. Okay. Holding shift and clicking the buy and sell buttons buys or sells a whole stack respectively. Okay. Drag and drop the icon for buying or selling stacks of goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the quantity you wish to buy. We want to purchase 24 scrap metal and additional supplies to have at least 800 units. So let's buy, well, it's all the scrap. So we got to close this. So if we shift click, that opens this window. Okay. So I want 24. Good. We have enough money for that. Except, okay. We have 4 stacks of 6 each for scrap metal. What does coal do? Essential to smelting and a slew of other industries, coal is mined near the western mountains and the eastern swamps. Well, we don't have anything requiring us to buy coal, so let's skip that. And then we should buy all of the supplies, I guess. Okay, we could buy one at a time. And then max it. We have bought all the supplies. And that has put us at 750. Okay, we have the requisite 800. Equipment that you can attach to the Comitatus is sold on some markets or found throughout your travels. They provide bonuses and upgrades. You can switch between the market of goods and equipment using the buttons over the list of items on the market pane. So we switch to the equipment tab and purchase the awnings equipment. It reduces consumption of workers and slaves. Linen awnings stretch over saddles and carts to block harmful weather effects and provide shade. Alright? So we should buy that. And we've done it. Equipment you own are in a pool below the Comitatus illustration. In order to gain their bonuses, you need to equip them first by dragging and dropping them into the appropriate slot on the illustration. Equipment can only be placed in a slot that matches its type, except that equipment of any type can be placed into the miscellaneous slot. You can unequip equipment by dragging it back to the list. So awnings are a type of harness. which is... Nope, that's sorcery, cargo, harness. So awnings go here. And then the compass is navigation or miscellaneous, so we'll put that in navigation. I assume you'd probably want to leave your miscellaneous open as long as possible, as long as you have other things open to put things in. Items, the third type of cargo, do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded in certain events. Ah, so that's what these are. You can switch panes in a settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus Management on the left. You can now freely check the settlement tabs. When you are done exploring, click on the exit arrow at the top right to leave Scrap Heap. Okay. Once you leave, you cannot come back to this place in the Pilgrims of the Wasteland, so be sure you do everything you want before venturing forth. So cargo is good. We have no faction offers. Let's go back to town. Maybe we can find the invite in the goods? After spending an hour looking at wares, you realize there's nothing here you would fork out coins for. Of course, there are a lot of useful things, but if you want to keep the rest of your purse intact, you should run into difficulties on the road ahead. Also, there's a veritable army of cut purses working at the market, and though so far you've managed to outsmart them, staying here would tempt fate too much. I mean, we should leave. We're tempting fate. Looks like we can't do anything with the tower. We've done our best. So, there's nothing with the Manzio, and there's no factions here. So, we'll head out of town. Packed up, restocked on supplies, and with all your business here concluded, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit town of Scrap Heap behind in the morning. You spend the night inside a guarded compound, not for free though. On second thought, there are still things you wish to explore in Scrap Heap. Nope, we want to spend the night. We spent a lurg, which is the middle one. It's good to know. 1 lurg per day. You set out at dawn. Ash is flitting from the sky, and the distant mountains rumble ominously in the morning twilight as your Comitatus reaches the west gate of the town. You notice almost immediately that the militia at the gates is questioning and inspecting travelers. Well, the only option we have is to move towards the inspection. A robed magistrate of the Heap King appears to coordinate the search efforts, picking out people or even whole traveling groups for inspection. As your Comitatus draws near, it takes only a passing glance from him to check you and your crew before he motions to the guards to let you through. Oh, sweet! Whew! You pass under the gate and out into the broken wastelands. I guess we don't have anything worth taking. Although I thought maybe he would go after my dwarven compass. The Comitatus is well on its way, and Scrap Heap is a mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you at the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choice with this venture. Talk of how you may have saved us all is spreading like wildfire, he says with a faint smile. Of course we do have to make it alive to Devon with the cargo, but it's a good start, don't you think? We could nod in agreement. Agreed, there may be hope left for the Comitatus after all. Agreed, there may be hope left for the Comitatus after all, and you know, it's in large part thanks to you and your abilities, not mine. Well, Javik didn't really do anything, so... Sorry, bud. Turn away and walk on without a word. Cold. Let's go with this one. Agreed, there may be hope left for the Comitatus after all. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not like we started this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your duties and the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you should reach the Wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel down to Avernum. So the Molten Tongue is that lava river we talked about, or we read about first, and then Avernum is the first city on our journey. So let's read about the Wound here real quick. The chasm called the Wound is a 15-mile-long cleft that runs between broken hills right next to the dead forest on its southern side. True to its name, the 100 to 200 yard deep ravine's bottom glows with a crimson light, and is covered with a blood-like liquid. Ew! What? The penetrating, horrid smell of a gangrenous wound permanently covers the whole area. No one has ever returned from the ill-fated ventures to the bottom of the pit. Abominable creatures born of the blood-like liquid wander the wound's vicinity, sometimes attacking indiscriminately, other times not paying mind to passers-by. Well, let's be ready for that. Yikes! The journey continues. Morale improved! The beatings will continue. Well, I guess the beatings can end, because morale improved. Good job. End. Your progress is saved at checkpoints. Whenever you leave a settlement, reach a story-related checkpoint, as well as the start of each day in-game, your game is saved automatically, overwriting the previous autosave data. Oh! If only I had gone another 15 minutes. That would have been a long episode, though, so I don't really regret. We got back to where we were anyway. Manually saving is unavailable in the standalone story, Pilgrims of the Wasteland. In the open-world main campaign, you can save manually in the game with game menu F10 or escape, except during combat and events. You can load your saved games from the load menu. Sure enough.
There they were, with a full cargo hold, and filled with newfound hope. Yet, the road ahead still promised hardships and...
Oops. Sorry, guy. I was trying to scroll the map. Apparently I can't do that. Sorry. The road ahead promises hardships. Alright, new day, though, so new movement. Let's move to... The crew management UI is now active. Click on the sheet in the top left corner to open it. Oh, here we go. The crew management window allows you to manage your comitatus. Morale is the general mood of your comitatus. If it ever drops to 1, there's a chance that the comitatus dissolves and you lose the game. You see the current effects on your morale below the rating. Our morale is... where? Here. Our morale is keen. 7 out of 9. That's not too bad. Obedience indicates how satisfied your slaves are. The low obedience leads to theft, runaways, and worse. Be sure to guard your slaves with enough fighters and treat your slaves well, or punish them consistently to raise obedience. Oh god. They're compliant. We have 7 out of 9. We have 11 slaves. Not great, but it is part of the game, I guess. We have 6 workers, 3 scouts, 8 fighters, none outriders, 2 mounts, 2 beasts of burden. We could eat them! Liberate one of your slaves to gain obedience. Liberated slaves become workers. Interesting. Or we beat them to make them more obedient. Nutrition shows how well fed your crew is. Low nutrition incurs penalties. Extra rations raise nutrition while starving your crew repeatedly lowers it. We have 6 out of 9. We're sustained nutrition right now. Our vigor indicates how tired the comitatus is. Low vigor results in penalties on tests, and a drastically slower comitatus, which can spell doom quite fast. You can see the current effects on your vigor below the rating. Right now we're 8 out of 9, which is great, giving us a lot of bonuses. So that's good. We want to keep things as positive as we can, if we can. We still have 7 days worth of rations, and our workforce needed is 8.7, and we have almost 17, so we're doing pretty good there. Upkeep is how much you owe your crew. You can pay them at the end of each day or keep collecting debt. Okay, so we owe 3 bronze and 5 gold. Not great, because as we keep going, well, that's per day, so hopefully we'll be able to get where we're going in a couple days here and then make a lot of money. Accrued upkeep, interesting. Consumption is how much food your crew consumes each day. Running out of supplies leads to a quick death in the wastelands. Workforce is generated by workers and slaves. You have enough workforce to cover the comitatus' needs, including beasts, crew, and passengers. Going below the required number bestows serious penalties, and passengers are people your comitatus takes to their destinations for rewards. You can take on passengers in some events and settlements. They also consume supplies, which is the lizard icon. Here you can see the number of each crew and beast type you have in your comitatus. Consult the tooltip for each type to learn more about their role. Outriders are special because you need a fighter and a mount to be able to create an outrider by using the plus button. While outriders are excellent fighters, mounts without riders carry cargo. You can always dismount fighters using the minus button. For now, add an outrider and then close this window. Yeah, because we don't need the extra cargo. We got plenty of cargo space. So we might as well add 1 outrider. And then we can close this. And then we'll continue on. Nothing there. 1 more. And 1 more. You've run out of movement points and need to camp, ending the day. Being on the road all day, spending most of your MP, lowers the vigor of your comitatus that you can replenish by camping. You can also camp earlier than running out of MPs, which helps raise vigor faster. Okay, that's very interesting. So because we had the full movement, that's great for our traveling, but it also lowers like how much vigor we can remove or add back. But our vigor is really good, so we probably don't really need to be generating that much. So let's camp. At the end of each in-game day, the Comitatus makes camp and settles down for the night. Supplies are consumed and movement points are refreshed after camping. At each camp, you can decide to offer normal or double wages for the current day, independently of whether you pay them or not. Double payment increases morale, which is there. You can also choose to pay all your debts to your crew at this time, or accrue payments, but the longer you delay, the grumpier the crew gets. We have 2 companions. Obedience and nutrition also appear here, as well as the options to discipline or liberate slaves, which is there. Workforce shows how much workforce generated by workers and slaves you need to maintain the Comitatus, which is right there. Going below the required value bestows serious penalties, so we never want to do that if we can help it. You have the option to give out less or more supplies under rations, which penalizes or boosts vigor and morale respectively. Starving your crew will have long-term negative effects on nutrition as well, but it may be necessary sometime to save rations. Good to know. We'll try to keep everything like as even-keeled as we can. We won't boost things, but we also won't starve people either, if we can help it. The lock icon allows you to save the current settings of the corresponding UI elements so that it remains the same for the next camp. Okay, so lock. And then we could lock that as well. Cool. Under Acquire Supplies, you can send your crew out into the wasteland to find supplies, and sometimes even other goods. Base chances for these activities depend on your related perks, deputies, crew, and the region you are in. You can also see the expected yields below each activity. The cost of hunting and foraging is movement points or vigor if you are out of MP. Hunting uses scouts and has a chance to get you a large number of supplies. Critical failure might kill scouts. Click on the scouts to allow hunting. Or we could send out workers and slaves. Foraging is more reliable, but yields fewer supplies. It can use workers and slaves. You add them to or remove them from the activity by clicking on their crew portraits, here and here. Critical failure might kill workers or slaves. From the camp UI, hunting and foraging results appear after you end the day. Oh, so we have a 3, a 25, a 65, and a 7. It gets slightly better if you if you use both. I see. Could get 0 to 99 or 0 to 35, 0 to 64, and then interesting. And then scouts is 0 to 107. Higher chance to not do well. It's not critical failure, but I think that's just a normal failure. Huh. Excuse me. The summary of what happened to your crew that day can be seen on the right. Nothing. You can also talk to your companions using the speech bubble icons below their portrait. Okay, so we can talk to Javik and this other person, who looks like a tiefling. Companions heal naturally during camp. The chance of healing or worsening condition can be seen on the bar below the portraits. There's none, so they're okay right now. Using the button on the right allows the use of medical supplies for increased healing chances and effectiveness. Medical supplies are quite valuable. Use them wisely. Healing results appear after you end the day. You must also set your defense orders for the night. A more lenient defense has a high risk of nighttime ambush and a negative effect on obedience. When you have set everything up, click the End Day button. This will sometimes trigger camp events. Okay, so let's set this all up. Let's not send people out since we don't have any movement, and I don't really want to spend obedience on this. Vigor on this for now. Let's post guards. Which we need 7 riders and outriders combined, and we have 8. This is no bonuses, but also no penalties. So we'll do the average. Let's not send people out. I'm okay with what we have for now. Let's talk to Javik first. You approach Javik. He is tending one of your beasts of burden. When he sees you wish to talk, he steps away, motioning to a handler to finish what he started. What's on your mind, Vagris? We could ask what he thinks of Avernum and about what you can expect there. Ask him about his past. He speaks so little of it. Or ask him about his strange abilities. Or enough chatting tonight. Let's ask him what he thinks about Avernum, since that's where we're headed. Oh yeah, I remember. You haven't been there for a long time. Well, Avernum is less of a provincial town like Scrap Heap these days and more like one of the great cities of the Empire. Sure, it's not as large as Devon or Torzag's Shelter, but it's a busy city with a lot of people and commerce. They say that the prefect who oversees the place has his own private thing going on, and he's fairly easy on the crime bosses. Well, at least on those that play along. Trade from the region concentrates on Avernum, and everybody wants to get their share. Alright, so be wary of the prefect and don't really run afoul of the crime bosses is what I'm kind of taking away from that. We'll talk more with our companions each time we camp. We don't need to grill them through their whole dialogue. Let's talk Morwen. Okay, so this is our other companion. Morwen is discussing something with a few scouts as you approach them. She sees you and steps away from her company, joining you next to a tent in the shadows. You immediately start to feel anxious, as if roused out of torpor by Tarkian coffee. The effects of her demonkin heritage, no doubt. Anything I can do for you? Ask what she thinks about the Comitatus. Ask what she thinks about Javek. Ask her about her past. Ask her about Demonkin. That's just kind of rude. Or enough chatting for tonight. So let's ask her what she thinks about the Comitatus. What I think is that if everyone does what they are supposed to, we can deal with most problems on the way. There's a moment of silence, and you realize she is done talking about this. Let's ask her about Javik. Morwen looks at you quizzically. Javik is someone I did not trust. He can read people's thoughts, they say, but he has always been kind to everyone, and he knows his way around beasts. I'm glad he is traveling with us. All right. Well, we'll talk to Morwen more, since she's another of our companion. And then we'll end the day. Day ended. Looks like chart location revealed to Torzag Shelter. Oh, maybe that's even further out. Can only scroll out so far. Got our codex journal. Okay. We've renewed our movement points. Let's head out. We could camp right away. Let's not do that. Let's do the full 9, and then because we'll have 1 movement point left over, we can send people out for some foraging. All right, we've done it. We've got 1 movement point left over, so let's send out our workers and our slaves together. I like that it makes the chance of success better. It doesn't make the critical chance failure any worse or better, so I think sending them both out together is a good idea. We'll keep everything the same. Everybody's still obedient, pretty keen. And we have 100% rations, and then our vigor is a little lower today, so yeah, so we'll send them out, keep normal defense, and then let's talk a little more with our companions. Let's ask Javik about his past. He speaks so little of it. There's not much to say, really. You know most of it already. I spent most of my youth on the road, where I learned to handle all kinds of beasts. My abilities were a great help in that, but I also had really good teachers. Eventually, I sought training to enhance my telepathic skills, but I returned to life on the road later on. We met a little after that. Ask him where he got telepathic training. Ask him where he was born and what got him on the road in the first place. Let's ask him where he got the telepathic training. He frowns and looks away. That is something I do not wish to divulge. It is not a matter of trust, you know. I swore an oath not to give anything away of my mentors, and I tend to keep my word. That's fair. I don't hold that against him. Let's see if we can ask him where he was born and what got him on the road in the first place. I can't say where I was born. My mother was on the move. The way Javik says mother seems oddly hurtful, but that wasn't for very long. She sold me. Ooh, rough. I was a slave. Never knew my folks because of that. Your silence prompts a faint smile as he adds. I never said it was because you never asked, but it's no secret, really. I was liberated at quite a young age by a Vagris who saw potential in me and my abilities. Well, that's good to know. Enough chatting with Javik. Let's ask Morwen about her past. I was a mercenary. I don't want to talk about that. Then you hired me, and you've known everything there is worth knowing about me since then. Alright. And then let's ask her about Demonkin. She seems thoughtful for a moment. Now I can't speak for all of us because there's so many kinds and variants of our race. We are called demonkin because it is said that demonic blood runs in our veins. Around us, people feel uneasy or anxious. Each of us has abilities that men of your empire do not possess. I can see in the dark, cold gets me slower and my skin gets burned less likely than that of humans. And it's all very practical. Oh, and I have these. She points to her horns and bone spikes. I like how very to the point Morwen is. She's an interesting character. Enough talking for tonight. All right, we got our guards, we got our people heading out. We'll end the day for now. Oh, rats! We got 2 supplies out of the fail. No foragers were harmed though, so that's good. No hunting needed, no healing. Oh, so we got an event. Cool, cool. After a long day's march under bleak skies and harassed by hot winds, the Comitatus finally settled down in a wide ravine. After taking care of camp chores and checking on all your komes, you go to your tent and tuck in for the night. There are benefits to sleeping out in the wasteland. The silence is quite calming, tranquil even. Only the murmur of the distant fire-belching mountains, the whisper of the wind, and the occasional groans of your beast can be heard. Except something else is making a muffled noise you do not recognize. Your eyes flick open. Something is wrong. What in Tartarus is it now? You rise to check it out. Uh-oh. Leaving your tent and passing the sleeping beast, you are just about to call to a guard when you stumble upon a large quadrupedal creature covered with fused bone protrusions. It is munching on supplies scattered across the ground. Aw, man. Evidently from a torn open sack lying nearby. This creature is a Jakra, a wasteland scavenger that hunts in packs. Before you can utter a word, the monster charges at you. And out of the shadows, Morwen leaps at it, tackling it aside, cutting its hide with her bone axe in a follow-up swing. You breathe out, realizing that she has probably just saved your life. Javik runs up to you just as the creature backs off and lets out a long howl. There's more of these accursed things, boss. Must have sneaked past the perimeter guards. They're trying to chase them off, he blurts out. As he does, you can hear yelling and the sounds of battle from around camp. The wounded Jakra is joined by another one from behind a cargo pile, and the 2 of them start circling you. Good lord, this got serious real quick. Javik steps beside Morwen as they get ready for the fight. Let's read about a Jakra real quick. Yikes. Maybe that's just a creature thing. Jakra are vermin of the wastelands, bad-tempered and aggressive pack hunters. They have plagued the Riven realm since the calamity. They have 4 legs. The 4-legged reptiles covered by hardened yellow-brown grown-together scales that cover their backs like armor. Adult specimens are 3 to 4 feet high at maximum and are between 1.5 and 2 yards long. Woof! It's a long lizard. They have thick, powerful short legs that propel them forward quite fast, but makes it difficult to maneuver, so you gotta, dodge side to side. Jakra heads have thick scale plates, and males sport about half a dozen thorn-shaped horns to maul and tackle with. They are very stubborn creatures that hunt in packs and don't know when to give up. Once they tear into prey, they do not let go until killed or killing. Yikes. They are omnivores but have taste for flesh, so they often take on larger prey in groups. Jakras live in hot, arid places like the continent's central deserts, but are quick to adapt to other environments, except very cold ones. Alright. Get ready for... Whoa! Get ready for a fight. I didn't realize there was combat in this game. Oh, wild! Companion combat is turn-based, where 1 to 6 enemies fight against your team of 1 to 6 companions. You can use the skills of your companions to defeat your enemies, protect your companions, and set yourself up in advantageous positions on the combat board. Companion combat is made of rounds. Each round, all the participants take turns to act. When everyone has had their turn, the current round ends and a new round is started. This goes on until either your companions or your enemies are defeated. The combat board is divided into 2 sides, the friendly side on the left where your companions and occasional allies are, and the opponent's side on the right where your enemies are. Each side has a front row, pretty obvious, which is the melee row, and a back row, which is the ranged row. Each row has 3 positions. Certain skills can only be used when standing in a position in the appropriate row. Begin fight! Round 1. The Jakra begins its turn. The turn order in which combatants receive their turn is according to the initiative. At the beginning of each round, all combatants add 1 to 6 random to their initiative to determine in what order they will progress through the round, starting with the highest initiative. The order, top left, shows the order in which combatants receive their turns. Wise leaders use this information to plan ahead. So this guy's going to go first, but if we can, it would be nice to use Morwen and Javik to nuke the other one if possible. So he's going to go ahead. Ouch! We've been stabbed with a horn. Melee skills can only be used from the front row. They can only target front row enemies that are adjacent to the attacker's position or back row enemies if no front row enemy blocks them. Positioning in melee is paramount. All characters can move to any adjacent position on their own side. If they move into a position that is occupied by another character, that character is pushed out of the position it occupies and has to move to an adjacent free position, even the position the other player has just left, so you can swap people around. Not only do characters in the front row prevent melee attacks against characters directly behind them, but they also make more difficult to hit with certain range skills, those that have the line of sight property. I see. When you want to move, select the move icon and then target position by clicking on it, and then confirm with a second click. Move Morwen in front of Javik to protect him. Alright, so select move. Oh, there it is. So we have selected Morwen, select move, move her over. Each companion has 4 combat skills, besides move represented by the row of icons below their name on the character information bar. When you select a skill, its stats are displayed below the skill icons. You can select skills or move by clicking on them and pressing the number, or pressing the number. Select skills are highlighted, as are all available targets for the selected skill. Alright, let's do the Mind Blast and hit the one in the back. Ooh, we crit for 5! Very good. Morwen's skill includes options to push front row enemies back, which is Savage Kick, and pull back row enemies to the front, Whiplash. Some skills are more complex. For example, including a move and an attack, Strafe. These type of skills can be used to great effect in controlling your enemies. Alright, so we're gonna kick this guy to the back. Hiya! He moves back to the front. You can consult the combat log. Oh, I wonder if them being in the back row means they can't attack. We could forfeit, and the character allows you to pass your current turn. Okay, so let's use... What is this one? Hypnosis. Moving them as he pleases. Premonition. Allowing to anticipate the opponent's next move. Let's go all in. We're trying to nuke this guy in the back row down. Did 4 that time. He's moved to the front. Alright, who's up? So that guy's up first. I'm hoping Javik might be able to kill this guy. So maybe we can kick this guy back again. Keep him back there. He moves back to the front. Javik, let's hypnosis this fool and move him back. Oh, dang. I was hoping that I could just, like, lock them into a movement cycle forever, but apparently that doesn't always work. Let's see. This guy. And then let us hit this dude in the face. Oh, only 1. Man, she doesn't do a lot of damage. Alright, Morwen has taken 1 damage. That's not too bad. And she goes first again. You have 1 vitality. You also have 1 vitality. So let's try... well, I guess they both go before Javik, so let's try to kill one of you. Maybe you? Dead. Good. 1 down. We blocked it. Even better. No damage taken. And let's do a Mind Blast to finish you off. Never mind. Thank you, Javik, for ruining my plan. Mind Blast again? Okay. Second time's the charm. Alright, victory! Interesting. The 2 Chakra lie dead at your feet. Morwen wipes the foul-smelling blood from her axe blade as a guard arrives and talks to her. You okay, boss? Javik pats you on the shoulder. You nod, turning to Morwen as she approaches you. All hostiles taken care of, she says. They got some food, but we could take their meat and other parts to make up for it. Absolutely, we harvest the damn creatures before going back to the bed. Perhaps you will gain something from this in the end. Ooh, 2 ivory, 90 plus supplies, and 5 hide. Why waste good meat? Alright. Well, cool. Well, we got to learn about camping. We got to see the combat of Vagris. Pretty interesting, especially if you get into... I could see it getting really complex when you have a full squad on both sides. So, but I think we're gonna hold off on continuing here for today. We'll jump in at episode 3 next time. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you would like to see more Vagris, the Riven Realms. And I will see you in the next one. See you later, everybody. Bye bye.